All right, welcome back to the Leave the Lights On podcast. Thank you for joining us for episode 10, a whole 10 episodes.
The Big Ten.
The Big 10. We should have came in suits and ties, but
For real.
thank you for coming back. Today we're going to be talking about the last two games for the Maple Leafs, which was Vegas and Utah, and then we're going to talk about some of the roster moves, our goaltending tandem, all that good stuff.
A lot of other good stuff.
Well, all that good stuff.
All that good stuff.
So let's just jump right into it. Let's not keep them waiting because I know they love us so much. Let's not keep them waiting. So Toronto's first game since we last talked was against Vegas, which is on Wednesday, which is when I released the last podcast. So we kind of messed up a little bit. But you know what? It is what it is.
All right.
So 3-0 for Toronto. A very, very solid game overall. I'd like you to start with this one because I have a ton of notes.
Yeah, let's do it. Came into this game expecting it. I think I said it was going to be a high-scoring game.
I think you said 5-4.
Something like that. Dominated. Defense played well. Goaltending obviously played well. Offense did what they needed to do. For me, this game was like the test of what we could actually do with half of our team being out and half of the Marlies roster coming up and playing.
Yeah.
Because this is the game you got to see the Minton come in, Gurbenkin played, and they both played really good.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Minton scored. Gurbenkin was doing his stuff.
Everywhere.
Yeah, he was everywhere. He was a jitterbug out there, and it was good to see. And then obviously you, Marner, Willie, Johnny, all those guys, holding down the fort
Our
in
big three.
Matthews' absence. Yeah. But overall, no, it was a really good game. Enjoyed watching it. It wasn't one of those boring games, but it was also, they did what they needed to do to shut down Vegas. So.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Wall with the shutout. Our defense was very active that game. They were jumping up into the rush. Like, I swear I saw Benoit behind the net at least 3 times. And I was like, what are you doing there? But I love to see it because the rotation was amazing. Because when Benoit jumped, you had whoever that forward on that side was coming back. Or when McCabe was behind the net more than I've ever seen him. Like, it was insane. The refs were terrible, but we'll get into that. We did a great job killing penalties because that's been our biggest thing is getting so many penalties. That's been one of the, we've talked about that so many times.
Oh, we've brought it up many times.
We get so many penalties because of how aggressive we're playing, but our penalty kill matched that. As much as we got, I think 5 or 6, our penalty kill was incredible. Benoit was a star for me in that game. I think he played very, very well defensively. And Gurbenkin. Gurbenkin, like you said, jitterbug. That guy was a pest. I saw that guy lay so many hits. I was like, sign him to a contract. Let's get him going now. Like, it was a very great, gritty game.
You know what he says?
Forecheck, back check, paycheck. I love that guy, man. I want to see him play well. Sorry, I want to see him play, not let alone play well.
Yeah, play.
But I want to see this guy continue playing because that was a great. Oh my goodness, that was a great first game in the NHL. And then, like you said,
have to agree.
Minton scored. He looked like he was buzzing out there too. All the guys that we've brought up in replacements for, Matthews and Domi when they've been out, it's been great. I haven't had much to say about them.
And they've been able to hold down the fort, right? And that's what we're asking them to do. Just don't play, basically don't play bad. Like, hold down your end of the stick, right? And that's what they've been doing, right? Yeah. So there's really nothing you can complain about.
I mean, there's a difference between playing your role and exceptionally playing your role. And I think Gurbenkin in that game, obviously his first game in the NHL, he wanted to prove something. And I think he really did prove something.
He definitely... I expected him to play good, but not like that. Like, he surprised me on how good. Like, I came into the game, I'm like, yeah, I want to see Minton, I want to see Gurbenkin, because I know, Gurbenkin was... I know he wasn't really on the stat sheet too much in the preseason, but he was a known player that we were able to watch. He got into a fight, he kind of pumped up the crowd. So it was nice that I went into the game with a certain expectation, and I could say that they both exceeded what I thought.
Oh, 100%.
For the better, so...
100%.
Yeah.
Knies unfortunately got injured in that game on a hit from Zach Whitecloud. Now, before we go on to the game 2, let's talk about this. Because, oh my gosh, did we end up on the penalty kill? Like, how? I don't understand. Like, watching it back, during the play, in slow motion, Whitecloud left his feet, which is the first sign of targeting something.
Yeah.
So... please take this away.
They showed many angles I hit, and all of them showed that White Cloud's shoulder was full force heading into Nice's face, and we ended up somehow getting a penalty from it.
Well,
Like,
the
I know it's because
instigation.
Riley. I understand that, but in a situation like that, in my opinion, I think if the worst scenario comes to play, both penalties should offset, and it should be 4-on-4 hockey.
I agree. I don't like the instigator penalty at all. Because, especially if you both end up dropping the gloves anyways, why do you need an instigator? The instigator was the hit. That's technically the instigator.
That's technically the instigator,
right?
yeah.
So the hit doesn't happen. Whoever it was, Benoit or Riley, whoever jumped. I'm pretty sure it was
Riley, I
Benoit.
think.
No, I think it was Benoit.
Yeah, no. I think it
Benoit
was,
jumped in.
Yeah.
Benoit doesn't jump in unless the hit is made. Now, the hit, again, no. I'm sorry. If Reeves is getting 5 games for that, for what he did to Darnell Nurse, yes, Nurse was bleeding. It looks a little bit worse. But if Reeves is getting 5 games for that, I don't even know how this wasn't a penalty. Like, I
Yeah,
cannot
no, I know.
comprehend it. Reeves was just, he got kicked out of the game and 5 games, and this isn't even a penalty on the ice.
And it was kicked out of the game, 5-game suspension, plus was it a 5-minute major?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like we've talked about a situation. Well, I mean, we just did with the Reeves hit, right? And this is kind of the same thing.
Oh,
And
it is the same
it's the
thing.
It's the total opposite of what happened about the outcome of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty simple. I think everyone can agree that he left his feet, and if you leave your feet and you hit a guy in the face, it should be targeting. Even if White Cloud didn't actually mean to destroy his face and leave his feet,
He did.
it's still. I don't know about that. I'm sure White Cloud wasn't thinking that I'm gonna
No.
destroy this guy in the face.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying whether he intended to or not, the action was completed.
No.
You did
Yeah,
what
for
you
sure.
did.
Yeah, you did what you did, even though you didn't mean to do it. It's a penalty, it's a suspension or a fine, something. But
But no.
there's nothing.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting the penalty for it. So
Now we killed it off, right?
yeah,
But
but
This
we should have
was-
been in that situation anyways.
yeah, this also goes
Right.
back to during the game I was watching. And the reason why I say the refs were terrible is not because of that particular situation. It adds to it. But for example, there was one time I think in the second period, before all of this happened, we got called for a very, very close offside. One that I don't even think was offside. Again, it could be biased, but I genuinely do not believe it was offside. Whether it was or it wasn't, it was called. Fair. Vegas, the next play, won the draw, entered our zone, blatantly offside, and they didn't call anything. And I'm just looking at this game like, what is going on? Like, I know we weren't even in Vegas, but I know it's Vegas. I know gambling is where you go. But there's like there must have been the rest must have had money on this game.
I think there was also, I don't know if it was the Vegas game or I could be getting confused with the Utah game, but I swear it was the Vegas game where there was like an icing that shouldn't have been an icing, and I was like looking at the TV, I'm like, what? How?
That might have been the
How?
Utah game, but I'm not too sure.
I think it might have been the Utah game, but anyways, the refs I don't know.
We literally preached this last week when we talked about the Reeves hit because we said we're fine with the suspension. We agree with it.
Yeah,
it's
no,
whatever.
yeah, for sure,
But what
yeah.
we preached was
Stay consistent with it now.
consistency.
Yeah.
And how can you go from the Edmonton game to that game right after? There's no games in between for us. And see those 2 hits and not match them. It doesn't make sense in my head. And
No, it's
not the GM, but the NHL owners need to look at these things and be like, what the heck is going on?
yeah,
Like,
it's
this is-
Peros, the head of safety,
Yeah.
player safety and stuff.
Peros, man, get it going. Get
I-
something going. Because
If it was the other way around and Knives made that hit on White Cloud, he's getting suspended.
easily.
Peros hates the Leafs. It's kind of like, and no one can deny that because there's been many opportunities to show that he doesn't like us
Yeah.
and the team, even though what have we done? Like, But again, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just saying, like, you see 2 of these together happen in the span of a week, right? A week.
Yeah. Like 4 days.
Yeah, and you're left speechless. It's like, what are we doing? Like, we asked for consistency, and you're proving us once again that there is no consistency. So whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, I really don't understand it. I do want to go back to Grabenkin because there was one specific play that made me jump. We were Vegas was on a 2-on-1, and he skated all the way back and dove to get a poke check in.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that play?
Yep.
That
Beautiful
play was like, I was looking at this
Beautiful
guy
play.
like, stay on this team. We
Beautiful
need
play.
you on this team because he looks like he's fitting the system that we're playing. So, not going to get back into that again because we already talked about that, but we might as well now move into Utah's game. So, we didn't even mention Joe Wall shutout. Sorry, Joe. 31 save shutout. You are looking like you want to take back the net again. You're looking like you're trying to fight for that role. And, dude, our goalies have been incredible. We'll talk about that after game 2.
We'll
but
mention that.
our goalie tandem is very, very solid. I'm very
solid.
excited.
Yeah.
So then we move into the Utah game. A lesser opponent. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. We started off very bad. The first period did not look like Toronto. Well, the Toronto that we know now.
Right now, yeah.
It looked like the Toronto from Keefe. So,
Keefe Toronto.
yeah, this is Keefe Toronto. Yeah, so we started off very bad, and we went down not early, but we went down in the first period going into the second.
Yep.
Now, second period came out, and we were flying. I don't really have much to say besides start games on time. I don't think anybody really played spectacularly. Like, obviously, Marner, 2 goals. I would say he was probably the outstander. Him, Tavares, Willie, the obvious ones, right? They've probably been the outstanders, but I don't think there was a decent amount to pick up on throughout that game that I didn't really like. One thing I do want to say beforehand is I apologize to Jake McCabe because I kind of not ripped into him the last couple of weeks, but I didn't think he's been performing up to standards because like we talked about earlier today, throughout the game, there will be 1 or 2 things that he does that you're like, a 33-year-old veteran defenseman should not be making that type of play. But looking at the stats with him and Tanev, they are statistically the best shutdown pairing in the NHL.
Shutdown pairing.
I want to apologize,
shutdown.
and I want to tell you to keep doing what you're doing because I may not be seeing it. I may be only seeing the stupid plays, but you're locking down every other line.
Well, hey, it's Toronto. You always pick out the stupid plays, right? Everyone, they do that with every player.
Yeah. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah,
one?
so the first thing I wanted to mention is that this is another game that, we were playing a lesser opponent, obviously, in a game that most people would probably think we're going to win, which we won it. But again, just bringing back the point that we are half a roster right now.
Yeah.
Alex Nylander played this game, his debut. He did what he had to do. I don't think he stood out, but he played well. There were some plays I remember him seeing. I'm like, oh, damn,
Yeah. Out of the 3 that we've called up, not counting Steve's, Minton, Grabenkin, and Nylander, I think he was the lesser in terms of break-in performances.
Yeah.
But I don't think he had a bad game in any sense.
No, I definitely
Continue
didn't have
what
a
you were
bad
saying.
game. Yeah. No, it was cool to see, Willie and Alex play together. So it's kind of cool. They were on the ice together for Willie's goal. But yeah, it's one of those games. It's like, I know Utah isn't that great, but people got to realize that we were also half a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know our defense and our goalies have stayed intact and they've done their job. They've done more than a great job, right? But like you said, I don't think anybody stood out. But I think Marner obviously had a lot of flashes in the game. Willie had flashes. Johnny, all of them played good. That I just want to bring up that Tavares pass to spring Marner on the breakaway, just to put the puck where he did. Like, they're staying together. The lines came out today. They're staying together. Confirmed. We'll talk about that later. But they're confirmed to stay together, and they should stay together.
100%.
Willie, amazing play on the boards, kind of getting the puck out and scoring that breakaway. And that goal reminded me of a goal that we scored in the playoffs last year, that he scored in the playoffs last year. And unfortunately, we didn't win that series.
Yeah.
But it's all right.
I remember
But
seeing
no,
you at it.
yeah, all in all, yeah. All in all, solid game. Took they scored first, and we answered with 3, and they kind of scored. I'm not going to lie. When they scored the second goal, I got a little bit nervous.
I think all of Loose Nation
Because
did.
I forgot to mention this. I didn't watch the game live because it was my mom's birthday, and we had a party that day.
Happy birthday to Mrs. Tersini.
So we had to watch it after. So I didn't hear anything on my phone or anything, and usually during a Leaf game, my phone is going off. My dad's phone is going off. Even he said, it's like, I don't know what to take of this because I don't know if it's nobody's talking on the phone because we played bad or nobody's talking on the phone because it was just another solid performance, right? So they scored the second goal. And I'm like, oh, I already know what's going to happen.
Yeah, we
These
had
guys are going to blow a
PTSD.
3-1 lead. But we shut it down. They did their job. Wall, another great performance. So, yeah, it was all I got to say about that. Another great game.
What's funny is I didn't watch the Vegas one live.
Yeah.
I had it pre-recorded as well, and when we went up 2, I think I had that same. As much as Vegas didn't score, when we went up 2, I was like, I feel like we're gonna lose this
Yeah,
game.
because
now.
Vegas was like, I think in both of these games there was a period, like you said, like Utah the first period they were pushing, right? They were playing better. We didn't look like ourselves. They scored the goal, but even the Vegas game, like even though they didn't score, like I think it was the second period. I want to say
It was the first and the second period.
Yeah,
That
one
Vegas
of those
was
that like they were kind of
outplaying
pushing,
us,
right? They
yeah.
were pushing, but we held it down. So that's all that matters, right?
The Vegas game kind of looked more. Not saying we didn't deserve to win that game because Wall just played exceptional.
Yeah.
You couldn't get by him, but the first 2 periods looked like Vegas was the not better team but more dominating team, and we kind of just had, for example, the Nylander one and the Marner one are 2 spring things, like they just quick happen. So like that could happen to any team, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of actual like zone domination, not zone domination, but zone. Zone. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like staying in the zone. Like
Yeah,
time
in terms of
zone,
like
time in zone,
time and zone and all
time,
that stuff. Like Vegas had more of it, so I was not kind of shocked that we got the win because we still played well, but it was like Vegas was the more pressure team in that game.
But like they say, right? Good teams find ways to win.
Yeah,
Right,
And
so-
right now we're a good team. What 7-1 without Matthews, 6-1 without
Something
Matthews.
like that, yeah. I also want to bring up my last point about the Utah game is like I said, I didn't watch it live, so it was 3-2, and Joe Wall made that toe save where he stretched out all the way, and it was kind of like it wasn't a fast play, so I kind of saw him bring it around. He's wide open. I'm like, oh my god, this is a goal, because I already knew. I'm like, I didn't know what to think. I'm like, oh, they're gonna come back in this game and they're gonna probably win it or whatever, and then Wall made the save, and I'm like, oh my god, like
That turned the tide for sure.
yeah, for real.
It kind
But
of,
yeah.
I think it kind of
Amazing
shut down the
save.
game in
Amazing
that
save.
sense.
Yeah.
We're talking a lot about Joe Wall. We might as well talk about Joe Wall and Stolarz.
Solars.
They are right now the best tandem in the league. I know there's people that would argue it, but in terms of actual goalie tandems, I don't think another team's on that level right now. Like I'm trying to find their
Yeah.
stats because it's just not popping up.
Well, I think Wall hasn't played more than 8 games yet. I don't think.
No.
So he wouldn't be.
He wouldn't be,
the stats that
viable.
we're looking at. But for example, like Stolarz, like he's number 2 in save percentage and goals against average.
Yep.
Right. Wall, amazing number. I think Wall has very similar numbers.
Yeah, I saw a
right?
picture
I
yesterday.
think the goals against average is down.
Walls is
but
2
the save
point.
percentage-
I think it's 2.06 from what I remember, and his
Yeah, I
save
have it right
percentage
here.
is 920.
Save percentage 922 and the goals against average is 2.
Yeah. So if those stats were valid right now, he would be tied 5th or tied 6th in save percentage, and he would be first
First.
in
Yeah.
goals against average.
Yeah, it'd be
So
first.
I don't think anybody can take that and say that they're not right now because Wall, after his injury, is coming back like he wants the net. I know that I think it was the Devils game. Oh, can't be the Devils game.
Which one?
The one that Wall played. It was like recent. Hold on. There was a game where Wall played where I told you that they kind of flicked it on net and it went by him and hit the post.
Oh, it was the game. It was the game before. Was it?
Who was it?
What? Oh, it was Edmonton.
Was that the Edmonton
Edmonton game, wasn't
Are you
it?
sure?
Not.
Might have been the Capitals game. Whatever. One of those 2 games, right? I said in the first period that Wall looked still a little bit shaky. But
Yeah, I
after
remember
that,
that,
he's looked like he wants this net back and he looks like he's dialed in. So, and then Stolarz is just playing like he's been playing for the last 2 years, right? He's got the backup numbers that he's got last year, but he's just starting,
Yeah.
right? So, I talked about this with you before the podcast. For me, I think the best way to keep them both healthy, but also keep them both playing, is give them 2 games each. So you, for example, give Wall these last 2 games. Now, I know we're playing Florida next game, and Stolarz will start against his former team. That's already set in stone. But going forwards, I think you give him 2 games each. Let's say Wall plays the first 2 games. If he wins both, he continues playing till he loses, unless we have a back-to-back. But and then vice versa for Stolars. I think that is the best way to keep them healthy because you lose one of the two, you get a rest day. You lose both, you maybe miss out the next two, right? But they have to find a way where if the goalie's hot, you keep him in. And if maybe has not a bad game, but, loses one that maybe could be his fault or not, you switch him out, right? And we have the ability to do that because we're not worried right now.
Yeah,
about,
we have all the confidence in our backup and our starter because right now
we're not worried about Garrett Sparks coming in and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Sure.
I think our goalies have been spectacular, and I really hope that they continue it. And the way this is looking with the defense that they have in front of them, because our defense is playing very well, with the defense that they have in front of them, I wouldn't be surprised if we have another Allmark Swayman situation, which nobody will talk about as such because we're Toronto, but I do think we have the capacity to have that.
No, I have to agree. We were talking about this before the podcast, and I agree with you. You got to find a balance of basically keeping both goalies fresh, but also keeping them in the loop. Like you said, right? Like the 2 games kind of thing. Like, obviously, if he wins both, puts up stellar displays, you're going to maybe keep playing him. But there's also, you got to find ways to keep Stolars in. So maybe even if it isn't a back-to-back, if he's on a roll, rest him 1 game. Because it's just like I'm looking at it like as what a coach would do. And I think Berube, like, I agree with you. Like, give him 2 games. If he wins both, keep playing him. But I think, like, it won't be just, like, say, whatever that was Wall. It won't be all Wall. Like, Sellers will probably get a game just because how they've both been playing. And you kind of got to split up the time, but also keep them fresh, right? But it also hasn't, like right now, since we've had so many days off, like, Wall got a back-to-back. Or, sorry, not a back-to-back, but, like, back-to-back games, which I was kind of surprised about. But, like, again, don't really care because I have all the confidence in the world in both of our goalies, so I don't really care who's in the net as long as they're saving pucks, which they're doing. But, yeah, no, I agree with you. Just keep them fresh, keep them healthy. Hopefully they both keep playing like this for the whole season because we won't have a problem. But I just want to say that this is the most confidence I've had in a goalie tandem in a long, long time.
Oh, 100%. So, I don't think we've had a goalie tandem. Like, realistically, I don't think we've had a goalie tandem, right? Where you're like, okay, let's say Freddie's starting.
Yeah.
Freddie's got to miss the next game of back-to-back.
Campbell and Mrazek. That was supposed to be a goalie tandem.
Supposed to be. But then Mrazek... I don't know. Let's not talk about Mrazek. But yeah, like you said, I'm very confident in our goalies, sure. Both of them, no matter who plays. I feel like I wanted to say something before moving on to the rosters. Whatever. Let's go on to the roster movements. So the lineups for tomorrow's game are looking like kind of normal, but are broken normal. So we've got McMahon, Tavares, Marner. Obviously. Matthews is coming back for tomorrow's game. So he's going to be on a line with Holmberg and Nylander. Now, Holmberg, please, just stop. Like, just please. Like,
Hey, give him some credit. He scored an empty net goal.
Oh, my goodness. No, I'm not liking Holmberg on the top, the second pairing. Sorry. I don't think
I have to agree. I think everyone can agree with you on that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to argue it. It's looking like Gurbankin is not going to play tomorrow. Which is unfortunate.
Unfortunate, but at the same time, not a surprise. Because you're not going to take out Minton because you need the center. And Matthews is back. So I don't think anybody's going to complain. Like, yeah, it would have been cool to see him again, especially because his first game he played really well. In the Utah game, he kind of went back down to earth a little bit, but he didn't play bad. He was less noticeable.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see him again. But at the same time, if he doesn't need to play, you don't have to force him to play because he's not going to play over the guys you already have in the lineup. Now, the thing is, would I rather have him in for Holmberg? Yes, but he doesn't play that side. And I don't know if he's okay with playing that side.
Yeah, he does.
He doesn't play Holmberg's side. Doesn't he play on the other side?
No, he's left wing.
So then put him in for Holmberg. But they won't take off Holmberg. Well,
that's the thing. Holmberg adds the penalty kill aspect as well.
That also.
That kind of ties into it.
And also Alex Nylander coming up. And the thing about him is that we signed him to an NHL contract, which means that if we send him down, he's going to go through waivers, which there's a high possibility that he won't be on our team because the two that usually take Leaf players, Vancouver and Edmonton, will probably scoop him.
Yeah.
Because they always take Leaf waiver wire guys.
They literally took Kapanen from St. Louis.
Yeah.
Like... Edmonton took Kapanen from St. Louis.
yeah.
Sorry.
But
it-
I don't know.
I'm not saying Steves has played bad, by the way, but why not
Steves too. I
drop
keep forgetting about
Holmberg?
Steves.
Why not drop Holmberg to the fourth line and not play Dewar in the center position? Because Dewar is not a center.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Berube is just getting
I think he's mix and matching.
mixing
Right.
and matching. Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't even continue. Holmberg, Matthews, and Nylander, William. So Matthews has been split up from Marner, which
Which we wanted.
the right decision
Yeah.
as of right now.
Yep.
And then Robertson, Minton, Alex Nylander, and then Steves, Dewar, Lorentz.
Stewie.
Stewie. No.
Stewie and Dewey.
Steves, Dewar, and Lorentz. Now, yeah, I think, again, I don't think Steves has played bad, but in terms of how Grabankin impacted his first game, I think you should play him again. And putting him on a line with Matthews and Marner could be a good thing. Because Holmberg, we know what Holmberg can
Matthews and
produce.
Willie.
Sorry, Matthews and Willie. We know what Holmberg can produce. Not much. So why put him on that line?
Yeah, I think it's more. The thing is, I think it's more the other situation than him actually just being him playing on that line. I think it's like you said before. It's like he's also a penalty killer. He's also better defensively. You know, he's also been on the team longer, so he has more chemistry with these players. I think it's more of that than just a 1-for-1, like, oh, why doesn't he just play here instead of him? But it's like, okay, so then why can't he just play deeper in the lineup and then you put maybe Robertson up top?
Yeah.
Something like that. But Berube has confidence in Holmberg. I don't see it. I'm sure you don't see it.
I don't see
I don't
a
think
second
a lot
line.
of people say
I
it.
don't see a second
it.
line center. I don't see a second line player. I barely see a third line player. Honestly, like I think Holmberg with Dewar and Lorentz is a better line than Steve's Dewar and Lorentz. Because you have a legitimate center, and then you have those two. Dewar has kind of been playing well, in my opinion. I like the way he's played on the fourth line.
He's done what he's had to do.
And Lorentz, I've had no issues about this whole season.
Yeah.
Lorentz has been amazing.
He's like Gregor, but I actually like him.
yeah. He's literally, and he gets these bursts of speed out of nowhere that even
You
surprise
see
me.
the play he made the other night?
Yeah.
He's a good player, man. He works hard, and he's gonna stay at Leaf because he's from here. So he's probably gonna
Yeah,
resign.
I really like
Hopefully.
Lorentz.
Yeah,
but
me too.
in terms of that whole thing, like I don't see why you would have Holmberg on that line because he's not gonna. What's the word? He's not gonna combine with Matthews and Nylander. He's not gonna be like, oh
No, he's
yeah,
gonna be
a pass.
absolutely- Yeah, he's gonna be useless.
Yeah, like
He's gonna be
a pass from Holmberg to Matthews, back to Holmberg to Nylander. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna be Matthews Nylander, and then maybe Holmberg in front of the net. But that's where you have Grabankin because Grabankin has looked like he's a better version of Holmberg, just not a center.
Holmberg's gonna do cardio.
That's what I mean.
He's
Put
not
him
gonna
down
do
in the
much, yeah.
cardio section, man. Put him
the cardio line.
Yeah, put him in the cardio line. Like, I don't understand why he's playing that line. Yes, like you said, like we both said, he's probably adds more to the team in terms of because he's been here, he knows the roster
Yeah,
more.
you know what the thing is? We say that, and it is true, but at the same time, it is not true because. Yes, he plays the penalty kill, but is he really that great of a penalty killer?
We don't have anybody else. That's why.
I know. But I'm saying, like, it's like I always remember this.
Luka story time.
Yeah. I think it was a 2021-22 season, the year after the COVID season.
Yeah.
Or even it might have been the year after. But anyways, not the point. So Justin Hall, everybody, obviously, we know what happened with him. But everyone was always saying, why is this guy on a penalty kill? Why is this guy on a penalty kill? Why is he playing the penalty kill? And everyone's like, well, because he's a good penalty killer. He blocks shots. Which I'll give him that. He did block shots. But how is he a good... And my dad said this to me. He's like, tell me this. Riddle me this.
Riddle me this.
How is he good on the penalty kill if our penalty kill stinks?
That's so true,
You can't say somebody is a good penalty killer if our penalty killer is literally like 20th in the league.
That's
that
so
makes
true.
absolutely zero sense. You can't say, he's on the penalty kill. But if you look at the numbers, our penalty kill is 22nd in the league.
Yeah. I think
I don't know if we were actually 22nd, 20th. I'm just saying
We were
but
like-
it
I think
wasn't
we might
up
like-
to the standards
I
that it
think we
should
were
have been.
like 18th.
Yeah,
Not too
it
far
wasn't
off.
good. At a
Yeah.
point, it wasn't good, and everyone's like, "Oh, but you block shots. He's a good penalty killer." So why do we get scored on every time we're on the penalty kill?
Well, right now our penalty kill is good though. That's the
right
only
now I
thing.
can't complain.
I think we're
right
what,
now
like
I can't complain.
8th in the league or something.
Something around those lines.
We're
but
top
yeah.
10 in the league,
Can't
right? Because
complain
we
about
haven't
the
allowed a
penalty
power play goal.
Yeah.
in a decent amount of time. Maybe like the Edmonton game. Or
Yeah, and
the-
we've had to kill. Yeah, the Edmonton game we gave up a power play goal to McDavid won, but it was just.
But they also
literally,
had 7 chances
Yeah.
that game, right?
Yeah, like
the
even in
Utah
the
game.
Utah.
Outclassed us in penalties. I mean, I know they're lower in they get a lot of penalties, right? More than we do. But they outclassed us. They were taking a penalty every 5 minutes. Like, it was great to watch.
That's the only reason I keep Robertson on this team right now is because he draws penalties.
Yeah, because of his speed.
Yeah.
But
Or just his like size, speed, whatever. Yeah, he draws penalties.
so a big thing, McCabe is not playing. We just talked about him.
Rest day.
Rest day, but he's not playing next game. Mermis is playing.
No, he's playing.
No.
Yeah.
Look.
He got a rest day. He's playing tomorrow.
Oh,
They just
these
gave
are the
him the day
lines.
off.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
you're
gave him the
right.
day
Sorry.
off.
That's my fault.
That's why
my
I was
fault.
gonna say this before. I'm not even 100% sure if Matthews is gonna actually play, but he's on the line, so he should play.
Yeah.
But McCabe is just a rest day today. He'll be in the lineup tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, because I was seeing Mermis and Tanev.
Yeah,
and I'm
he's
like,
he's just there to take up a roster spot for now. Yeah, McCabe rest day should be in for tomorrow, so no problems with that.
Those are our. Sorry, the defense is the same. Besides, no, it's the same. It's the exact same
Oh,
as
yeah,
we've
so
been
we-
playing. Riley OEL, McCabe Tanev, Benoit Timmins.
It's the same and it's beautiful.
And it's been working, so
And it's
I'm
beautiful.
so happy with
Yeah.
it. Continuing with the rosters, right? There's been rumors. There's been some talking about some Rangers players. Now, you've looked into this more than I have. Let's touch the people up on what is possible.
All right, so the other night, Elliot Friedman went on the old Twitter machine, or the X machine now, and said that the Rangers are looking to maybe shake up the roster a little bit, and two of the names he mentioned were Kreider and Trouba. Now, this has nothing to do with the Leafs. Like, the Leafs were not anywhere mentioned at all. I'm just saying this as our podcast, and maybe not Trouba, because I think he's making way too much
Yeah,
for him.
it's-
We don't really need him.
8 mil.
Yeah, a lot. Plus, to be honest, it's kind of at the end of his career. That's why the Rangers are getting rid of him.
Yeah.
But I look at Kreider, and I know we're more focused on a new center, and I agree with that. I think center is more important than the wing.
We have
But-
too many wingers.
Yeah, I just look at a situation where if you have the chance to bring in Chris Kreider, and I know he hasn't had the best season. I think he only has 9 goals and I think about 19 games, no assists. So he hasn't had the greatest season of just balance wise. But if you have a chance to add a player like that at a reasonable price, because obviously the Rangers are still a good team. It's not like they're a bad team looking for picks.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to give up roster players to get Chris Kreider on this team. But I
100%.
look at it and I'm like, Chris Kreider's a second line winger to play on a line, whatever. I would at least, and we know Treliving is going to at least make the phone call because he said that. He's one of those GMs that no matter if we need him or not, he's going to pick up the phone and ask, what's this player worth? What's the thing on this player, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I want to know your thoughts on it because I think it would better the center, but
I do believe, like you said, we need a center, not another winger, right? But like you also said, adding Chris Kreider, a player like Chris Kreider, is never a bad thing, right?
yeah, exactly, right?
Obviously, to make it work, the cap is going to be, there's going to be some retention because he's making 6.5,
You're going to have to give up a lot.
right? And you're going to have to give up a decent amount of thing. But also, he's not having the best of seasons. The Rangers are doing well. They're 12-7-1, right? So 1 loss lower than we are and 1 game less. So they're in a similar position to us, right? So they probably wouldn't want to give it up, but a line of Kreider, Matthews, Nylander, or a Kreider, Nylander, Marner, like that looks like a very solid line to me. And I really think we should be playing Willie at center because we have too many wingers. And if he can play this, just win some faceoffs, right? Because the more he does it,
He's actually been taking faceoffs.
that's what I
the
mean.
funny thing.
And the more he
He's
does
been
it,
alright.
the more he's going to get better at it, right? So obviously, I trust Berube to make these lineup decisions more than I did with Keefe.
Yeah.
So seeing Willie playing center, and he's been playing center for a majority of the season so far, and then you just move Marner, and what they've been doing with Domi, move Marner into the center position during the play, right? And then you've got a two-way down the middle. You got Chris Kreider and you got William Nylander. Looks like a solid line to me. But
Yeah.
I would prefer a center.
Yeah.
And a center that I don't remember who I saw talk about this, but a center that is open to the Maple Leafs in terms of trade targets is Nick Bjugstad. Now, Bjugstad was very influential on Edmonton in their playoff series 2 years ago. Right? I think he scored 5 goals or something. He was very, very influential. And he's a very regressing, but still very good two-way player, two-way center. Right? Not saying he's going to be our second-line center, but he could be our second-line center with Tavares moved down to the third, or vice versa. But that's another solid center that you add to the lineup full of wingers. Right? Like, we've got Dewar playing center.
Yeah.
And Dewar is not a center.
He got 3 points in 12 games for the Oilers in the playoffs, by the way.
I could be wrong. Okay, I was wrong. But he scored some big goals for them. He scored one or two big goals for them. Right? And I know that for a fact. So, a player like Bjugstad added to, a depth role on Toronto, because he's what, Seattle right now? Yeah.
No, Utah, sorry.
Utah, sorry. A player like Bjugstad added to the depth of Toronto makes us more scary. Yes, he's not the legitimate second-line center that maybe we're looking for.
No, but he would go to the third. Like, he would be your legitimate third.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, right.
And Tavares is playing like a legitimate second-line center again, right? He's got the spark. He's got the momentum. He's got everything going for him right now, right? Bear in mind, he hit 2 posts against Vegas, but just because the puck's not going in doesn't mean he's not making great plays.
We're also forgetting that our team's hurt. So when you say that, like, think of this. Like, sorry, I know we're talking about Bjugstad now, but just the Kreider thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nyes, Matthews, Nylander, Kreider, Tavares, Marner is a top 6.
Again.
Right.
You add a player like Chris Kreider with the name that he has and the skill set that he has, and your team improves, right? Obviously, bearing whoever you got to get rid of, right? But your team still improves. Like, probably Yarncroke would be a part of that.
I don't even know, but
obviously, he's not going to play. Robertson would definitely be a part of that. And I think Yarncroke would be a part of it in terms of making the money work.
Money work, yeah.
Right, because he's making what, 2.5, 3,
something like
some
that.
nuts
2-1,
thing.
2-1, I think 2-1.
He's still making over 2
million,
right?
Yeah.
Now they retain 50%, or not even 50%. They could retain 33%. Then you add that 2 million. As much as we're paying him 4 mil, we've only taken on an extra 2 mil. Right, so it still ends up working. And like I said, you add a player like Chris Kreider, your team becomes better on paper. Now, will he actually have that much of an impact to the roster? Don't know, right? Because even with all the injuries, we're still playing nuts.
Yeah.
Right? We're literally buzzing. So, I don't know. It's a possibility. I think I would prefer Bjugstad.
Yeah.
Just because I think Bjugstad adds more depth and well-roundedness.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a lot of people that would argue with that. But
he currently has...
they're both in the later stages of their career. I think Bjugstad is 33 and Kreider's 34 or something like that.
Bjugstad is 32, so yeah, you're right there. And then Kreider's 33.
Okay, so I was 1 year off on both of them. I was 1 year ahead. But they're going to be 33 and 34 by the end of this season. Right? So 2 veterans that are regressing. Bjugstad's getting paid less. I would prefer Bjugstad because I think he adds more to our overall team than Kreider would.
You know what the thing is? I look at it like this. I totally agree with you. But the thing is like if we play like this for the rest of the season, we're looking at it like, and I know the cap situation and what we have to offer, but if we play like this for the rest of the year, we're in first place. We keep first place. And
we didn't even mention that we're in first place right now. By the way,
and anything could happen. But I look at it like this. It's like we're looking at it right now, which is fine. But I'm saying both of us are looking at it right now that we're only going to make one move. We're not going to make one move.
Oh, for sure.
If this team is for real, Treliving will literally empty the cupboards to make as much moves to like bolster this lineup as possible. Because if this is the year that their team's like, well, Marner's a free agent.
Tavares is a free agent.
Tavares is a free agent. They're playing amazing. Plus, you already have when Matthews comes back or whatever. Nylander is playing amazing. The depth is doing their job. The defense is amazing. The goalies are amazing. This is the most complete team we've had. And again, I know we're always solid in November. If you look at the stats every year with Keefe, any coach,
even Babs,
November has been the year that we've always been amazing. Like we've always had kind of mediocre to bad Octobers, like some bad Octobers, mediocre Octobers, but every November we've played out of our mind.
Yeah.
So if we can keep this consistency, like we have a big game against Florida, and we'll get into that, but that's a make or break game. Like you need to win that because that's the team you're chasing, that is chasing you for first place right now. But make as much, like if we trade for Kreider and Bjugstad, do it.
Yeah. I
Do
don't,
it.
don't
Like
know how the heck we
I
make
don't
that
know
work.
how we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
But you have guys that you can like. I know he has had a really bad season so far, and I know he's making a lot. Domi, I want him to play well, but unfortunately, if you have to ship out his $4 million or whatever he's making, that will basically get you almost Kreider.
Yeah, that's half a Kreider.
Think of that.
Half a
Kreider's
Kreider, half a
making-
Bukestad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I want Domi to stay because I know he can play well. People are forgetting that he literally did, not to this extent, but he literally did the same thing last year. He started off really bad. Everyone's like, this guy sucks. And then the guy ended up getting like 50 assists.
Well, he
Right?
didn't start the year bad.
He
He
was
just didn't score. That was the thing. He had like 11 assists in the first.
But he also
20-something
wasn't playing
game.
up to
Yeah, he wasn't playing.
standards that we thought he would be.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, he was scoring some goals and he was an assist machine.
Yeah.
Right? So we're just, I'm hoping that he kind of does that again so you won't have to trade
But who
for.
is he playing with? Austin Matthews.
Only for the end, though.
But Matthews. But that's the thing. They were picking it up at the
Hey,
end.
he
That
was
line.
playing with
Right?
Tyler Bertuzzi.
That line was picking it up near the end, right? So they were
Yeah.
scoring almost every game, if not every other
Yeah,
game.
no, they were really
Right,
that
so-
line was hot at the end of the year.
And on our second power play, Domi was on it as well. And I think our power play was nuts, right? Like our first power play was insane. And then we kept, I think, Matthews and Marner out for the second one sometimes. And our second power play would score. Like our power play was nuts that year. And he probably got a decent amount of his stuff through the power play, right? So I'm not saying he played bad last year either, by the way. Like he,
Yeah, no.
through the end of the year,
I'm
he
not-
picked it up.
Yeah,
But like you said, like he's not playing right now. We're playing well, right? It's just how much roster movements you're willing to make. Because like you said, Domi's half of either of them. Oh, I said that. But Domi's half
that was your.
half the money of either
Yeah.
of them, right? You add Yarncroke. I don't know who would want Yarncroke, but you add Yarncroke to that. And there's Bukestad's money made up for, right? And you only need a mill for Kreider. Even if you need to get that, you just add an asset.
Yeah, it's all getting interchangeable. Like even Robertson's making what, $1 million?
Yeah.
Something, just over $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a contract that's probably gonna get moved out anyways because unfortunately it just hasn't worked here.
He's been very unlucky, man. Very.
Oh yeah, the guy
very
has like
unlucky.
8 posts all season and a goal that got called back. He's been very unlucky, but at the end of the day, and I will die on this hill. You know me, I will die on this hill that he has potential and he will be a half decent player in this league. But unfortunately, we're in win now. If you're not gonna put up goals and help the team, like yeah, he's been a jitterbug. He hasn't played bad. It's just when you're not scoring, which is your main job to do as a depth forward,
Yeah.
you gotta go, man.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no.
it's not working here.
I agree, and it sucks, but
It
also
does suck.
something I was gonna say is, as much as if you could trade for Bukestad and Kreider, do it. You know, we want 2 players like that on this team, but how much roster movements are you really willing to make?
Without having to shake up the whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Because okay, you look at the lines right now and adding Matthews back into it. Kreider and Bukestad have 2 free positions. Right? You take Domi away, that's that left wing position that's vacant, and you slot Kreider in right there. Third line center, nobody's gonna argue. Pontus Holmberg's dropping to the 4th line. Right?
Or not, he's dropping out of the team because when Kempf comes back, Kempf is your 4th line center.
Well, they'd
so-
probably play Lorentz. Oh, but then you got Reeves coming back, right? Like,
Yeah, but I think just using those 2 names as an example, a team fully healthy, I would go Nyes, Matthews, Nylander, Kreider, Tavares, Marner.
we're
Okay, we're
using
trading
the
Domi.
additions of Kreider and Bukestad, right?
Yeah, those
Okay,
are like
sorry,
the names.
yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah.
your 3rd line center would be Bukestad with McMahon and No, okay, so Robertson would probably be gone and Domi would probably be gone just to make the money work. So whatever, insert third.
Well, Bukestad can also play the right wing. As much as he is a
Oh, yeah,
center,
whatever.
he could play the right wing.
And then your 4th
Mint-
line is Lorenz Kempf and Dewar, Reeves. Like Dewar we even have.
I would not be surprised if Minton holds his own in this team, you know?
I want him to play. If he keeps playing like he's playing, there's no reason why he shouldn't be on this team. But again, he's a young player. If you want veterans to win a cup, he might have to sit out,
Yeah.
clock out,
And
let somebody else take a shift.
If we
no?
we're saying the names of offloading being Robertson and Domi as
Yeah,
like
yeah.
quote unquote guarantees, right? Who else can you put in that 3rd line position?
The one where I couldn't think of a name.
Yeah, it kind of not that it has to be Minton, right?
Trade
But
for a depth guy. Trade for another guy.
Tanner Jeannot.
Oh Jesus.
No, let's not talk about that.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Again, it's too early to tell.
We're kind of just talking nonsense.
Yeah, we're
right
just
now.
we're kind of just
Free-balling.
we're free balling it here, just giving ideas, right? But I don't know. Is it likely that we're gonna get, like, I know we're just using their names as an example, but is it likely we're gonna get Bukestad and Kreider? Probably not.
But is it likely to get one of them? Yes.
Yeah.
It's very likely that we could get one of them, right? Like, we're not talking about Trouba, because Trouba
Yeah.
is not coming.
I'm
anywhere near
kind of
Toronto.
happy. That's the thing. Like, I'm kind of happy that for once at a trade deadline, we're not asking for a defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
Like a legitimate top 4 defenseman, because we don't need one right now.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if, like, knock on wood, like, if somebody gets hurt and we need one, okay, fine, we need him then. But right now, like, yeah, do I see us maybe picking up a depth defenseman?
I don't even see us
But
picking up a depth
I don't
defenseman.
think we need that
Because
either.
we've got who?
Benoit is sitting out, or Hakanpää sitting out. That's fine. We don't even need a depth defenseman. Plus, we have Myers.
Hakanpää, who's not
Yeah,
been playing.
Bennings with the Marley, so you can bring him up if you need.
Yeah.
We're totally fine. But I'm just happy that it's finally like, oh my God, like, we get to add some more excitement with the offense to this team if we have the chance to.
Yeah. Meanwhile, when we've needed the defenseman, we've traded for Ryan O'Reilly. So, don't get me wrong, that was a good pickup.
Hey,
and I
we got
wish-
Jake McCabe. Got Jake.
we did
got
get Jake,
Kaber.
but
See, like, again, like, the team still needs to prove me and keep the consistency, but I want a deadline like that.
yeah.
Where I just, like, move after move. Oh my God, like, we just traded Engvall. We traded Sandin for a first round pick, but we flipped that for Shin. Oh my God, we just got Ryan O'Reilly and Achari the other night, and now we're getting McCabe and Lafferty. I want something like that. I want that deadline again, because that was fun.
Yeah.
Even though we gave
it's
up all
just-
of our picks.
We need to see when all injuries are done.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, again, I think a player like Grabankin fits our system. Right? I've been preaching a lot about Grabankin because I really like his play.
Nice.
He may not be the best on the puck or whatever, but he looks like he's fitting the aggressive system. Right? And not that I'm saying we're going to see him in the playoffs, but with, let's say we make some trades, he could be that third line person that we're talking about. Right? Because he fits. Like, he just looks like he fits our style of play.
Like, I don't know what's happening with Yarncroke, but if he's still on the team, he would obviously be there. But I don't know if you ship him, because, like, the guy's hurt. No one knows when he's coming back.
I think you mentioned last week that the back surgery didn't go as planned.
Yeah, he
and
definitely had a
could be
setback.
out for the rest of the year.
Yeah. So I don't know if that means he's ready for playoffs, though. I have no idea. I'm just a student in the journalism program. Remember, I don't have any insider information right now.
We should call
Hopefully in
Elliot.
the future, but yeah. But I don't know. Like we said, we're just spitballing here ideas, but whatever you can do to make this team better, because like nobody in the bottom 6, or we'll just say nobody in the third line has really proven that you can, like, oh my God, like, this guy needs to stay.
Yeah, I'm glad you
You know
changed
what
it
I'm
to third line because Lawrence has proved that
Yeah,
he needs
no,
to
I was
stay.
thinking, exactly. I was thinking about him. The whole fourth line is fine. Cam Lawrence, either Dewar
Or
or
Reeves.
Reeves or whatever. That's a solid fourth line. They've played well. You keep them together. But that third line, nobody on that third line has given me the feeling that it's like, well, yeah, don't
Don't move me.
move him because he's playing well.
Yeah.
Like, no one has really done that for me, right? Like, Robertson hasn't done that. I've always said I love Robertson. I've down that hill. He's a good player, but if we have a chance to upgrade this roster and get a better player and he's involved in it, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Same with all the other guys. Even when McMahon comes down. Again, I'm not going to say it again, but we all know the history with me and McMahon. But can you upgrade on him? Probably.
Very,
So,
very easily.
yeah, right?
Yes.
So, like, I know, don't get me twisted. He's played well with Tavares and Marner. Even the last 2 games, he's kind of went back to playing the usual, but he's played good. But I just remember, I want to say this quick. There was a play in the game, I think it was against Utah, where McCabe got the slashing penalty.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't even hit the gloves, he just
Chop the stick.
chopped the stick. McMahon fanned on the puck to not get it out,
Yeah,
right?
I
Or like he didn't fan on, he passed it right to the guy at the point.
I remember that so much.
I know I'm picking out certain plays here, but yeah, that whole third line can get upgraded, and I see Treliving doing that.
Yeah. We say this every year, but I actually have faith like this time that there will actually be some movements.
Yeah.
Because we need them, right? Like right now, the only thing that we need is a third line. Realistically, right? Like the top 6 is playing great. The fourth line, minimal movements, but it's one player swapping for
Yep,
each other or
yep.
rest days.
Yep.
It's that third line, right? Now, the third line we played against Vegas was great, right? The third line we played against Utah, which was literally just Nylander on instead of Robertson, played all right. Right? They didn't play too bad. Minton got a point, right? Gurbankin wasn't as noticeable. Nylander wasn't as noticeable as maybe he wanted to be, but I think he was still pretty good.
Yeah, he played well.
So those AHL guys, right, I don't want to call them AHL guys, but they are AHL guys right now, could make their way to being our third line, and we may not need to make those movements. But looking at it right now, I think Bukestad is the player that I would bring in personally. I don't really see anything else. Like, you could always upgrade a center. You can always
Yeah.
push people to the wings. You can't push the wings to the center position. That's the way I see it. One thing.
Except if it's William Nylander.
Well, him you can do
Yeah.
because he also played center with the Marlies, I think.
Yeah,
I
it was
think he played a little
earlier
bit
in his
center.
career. He played
Yeah.
a little bit of center. Yeah. I think
Even
so.
Marner with London was the center, right? So it proves that you can spread the center to the wings. You can't always spread the wings to the center.
Actually, that was funny because the game, I can't remember what game it was, but there was a game, I think it might have been even the Vegas game. Everyone's like, oh my God, like Berube might be open to trying Marner at center. And I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. And then it just never happened. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I kind of wanted to see that because we were talking about that before too. But whatever, I guess we don't keep him where he is.
Yeah, I wouldn't want Marner to play center. I would want him to play center, for example, like on a line with Nylander and Nyes or Kreider or whoever it would be.
Yeah.
Right? But not actually taking the faceoffs because I don't think he has it. Because Nylander has been tried at center over the years. Minimal games, but he's been tried. Marner only comes to take faceoffs when Matthews gets kicked out or Tavares gets kicked out, right? And even in that situation, they bring in Willie or whoever
Yeah,
else is
even in
there.
that situation, he doesn't even like take it. But,
Right,
but
so-
yeah.
I think it's a little bit too late to put Marner as the center. If you want to try it against, I don't know, Ottawa. We're already not.
No.
Gonna, we're
No,
already
already-
not going to win
yeah,
the game.
we're
Might
not
as well
gonna-
try
yeah,
it.
just try
right?
stuff, yeah.
So
It's true.
try it against a team like that. But overall, I think if you're going to do it, Willie would be the center. I think
Yeah,
that's the
no,
best
that
way
makes
to go.
sense for sure.
Something I do want to say, because we talked about him last week, this is whole off the Toronto Maple Leafs. Alex Ovechkin got an injury that we minorly talked about.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be this bad. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks. So that's going to hinder his charge at Gretzky. And it's so sad to see, man. Like, he was really, really cooking.
Yeah, he was really heating up there. Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like, oh yeah, they're keeping him out precautions.
Day-to-day kind of thing.
Yeah, day to day, and then it just came out. It's like, oh, actually, no, this is worse than it is. But you know what? He's older now. Stuff like this is gonna happen. It just kind of sucks when he's kind of wanting to chase and break a record like he's trying to do. And again, like I think I can speak for a lot of people saying that if he could do it this year, then we want to see it this year.
Because then he would just retire.
Yeah,
probably.
right. He doesn't have anything else to do. He's got everything else. It's not like he's still chasing a cup.
Yeah.
Would he maybe won another one? Yeah, but I think he's
he's
Alex
content.
Ovechkin. I think he's good with. I don't see him going to another team. It's
No,
like Crosby.
no.
Yeah, he's staying with Washington until the end. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's unfortunate. You know, he won't be out for the full season, so that's the good part. He's still gonna come back. I don't know if he's gonna be the same. That's the thing. Like, is he gonna be back and he's only gonna finish the rest of the season with like 10 goals and he's gonna have like a 20-goal season after he was lighting it up and we all thought, oh my God, this guy's gonna score 50 this year or whatever. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but he'll be back and hopefully he goes back to his scoring ways. But that's
It's
about
Alex freaking Ovechkin, man.
it. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Let's hope for the best. So
yep.
we wish you the best, Alex. Before we end the podcast, let's go in. I know we talked about the lineups at practice, whatever. Let's go into Toronto. Tomorrow's game
Let's do it.
against Florida.
Yep.
So
In Florida.
I was gonna say this is our first
Yeah.
away game in a while. Also, I do want to touch on something before we talk about Florida. Our schedule is so messed up. Our schedule is so messed up. How do we have 9 games in 14 days and then 3 games in 14 days? I understand, we played a lot of back-to-backs early, so you want to give us some rest now. But why can't they just manage a season where you're not having 6 days of rest in between games sometimes?
I don't know. You gotta ask Gary Bettman that question.
Like, obviously, if we were in, let's say our wins and losses were reversed, we were 6-13-1, right? Then I'd say, we need this rest, right? But, and obviously, I guess because we're cooking, I'm saying we don't. But even still, like, any team but like, any team doesn't need 6 days of rest, right?
it's basically a bye week. It's literally their bye week. You're getting
Yeah,
another bye week.
It's a week off.
basically,
Like,
yeah.
we play Wednesday, we then play Saturday, and then we don't play till Wednesday again.
Yeah.
It's 3 games in. Well, it's 3 games in 8 days, but I mean, that's less than what we've been doing, right? We were
Yeah.
doing 4 games in 8 days, 5 games in 8 days, right? So you go from playing
Yeah.
so much hockey to not playing much hockey, and it almost has the chance to affect your whole team.
Yeah, of course. You want to
Right?
keep
Like
it.
you saw
Yeah.
it. You saw it in the Utah game. Actually, we went from Vegas on the Wednesday to where we were playing beforehand. We were playing 2 days apart, a day apart. Then we went to Vegas and we won, right? Or Vegas came to us and we beat them 3-0. But then we waited till Sunday to play Utah, and we didn't have our legs for obviously the first part
For
of
the
the
first,
period,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that could be something that costs us. The schedule could be something that costs us. Now, yes, it's down to the players. But if the schedule is kind of messed up like that, where you got 16 back-to-backs and then you're also playing 3 games in a month, you know what I mean? Like it's hard on the players even mentally. So
Sure.
our schedule's messed up. But let's move into tomorrow's game against Florida in Florida. First time in a while that we've been away from home.
Probably biggest game of the season coming up
Yeah.
so far. Biggest game of
This
the
could be
season,
very, very influential because tomorrow's game would be our 22nd, which means we have 60 games left in the season. We're a quarter way of the season done. And we're on fire right now. And Florida is a team that is going to be chasing us all year. If not, we're going to be chasing them, right? But Stanley Cup champions last year, finals the year before, just a great team that we need to bounce. We need to bounce them. Stolar's against his former team, of course. He's going to be starting. So that's going to be very nice to see. And hopefully he can have a spectacular game, play the way that he's been playing.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any of our goalies have been pulled yet this year. I could be wrong.
No.
I don't think any of our
No,
goalies
I
have been
don't
pulled
think
yet.
so. No, I don't think
Right?
so.
So that shows that we've got a very solid goalie tandem, but I'm not going back into that. But yeah, tomorrow's game is very, very pivotal for how this team goes, because especially if Matthews plays again. Right?
Yeah.
So what do you have to?
No, I was just gonna say like a lot of things. Sorry, one thing that's going under the radar is Florida really hasn't been too good. Like, what did we look before the podcast? What are they, 6 in their last 7 or whatever?
Yeah.
Like for losses, I mean, or something like that along those lines. So they haven't been really that great, and they've played good teams. They have a surprise loss to Chicago, I think it was, right? Chicago.
3-1, I think.
So you don't know how they're gonna come out because they know this is an important game too. We know it's an important game. They haven't really played that well. It's literally the total opposites of what's going on right now. The Leafs have been on fire coming in this game. We're in first, and Florida hasn't really played that well. They've have a lot of losses in their last games.
Yeah. So
They're
they've
right
lost.
behind us.
They've lost to Washington yesterday. Avalanche 7-4. Blackhawks 3-1. Jets 6-3. Then they beat the Jets the game before that 5-0. And then they lost to the Devils. And then they lost to the Devils again. And they beat the Panthers. So they're I think 1-6 in the last 7.
Yeah. So
Right. So really not hot right now.
yeah. So you don't really know how they're gonna come into this game. That's the thing. That's what scares me. Because you're like, oh, they haven't really been that great. So it's like, oh yeah, the Leafs should finish them off. Kill them while they're already down. Stomp on them while they're already down. But it's also Florida, and they can come back like that.
And it's
right?
also Toronto.
And it's also Toronto. So it's like, oh yeah, we're playing amazing. Oh my God, we lose to Ottawa.
Yeah,
right?
like you said originally, we were talking about the Utah game. I was very worried once they scored the second goal that we were just gonna
Kinda
give up and
bounce
capitulate.
Yeah.
Thank God that didn't happen, and hopefully we can take this play into tomorrow's game because it's a very, very pivotal one for our season.
Very,
because then
very.
we also don't play until Saturday again, right? Again,
Which we take on Tampa.
Yeah.
So
another
also a hard
team
team.
in our division who
chasing us.
yeah, they're chasing us, but they're all right. Right? They're not spectacular.
No, they've had bumps during the season too, but they also I know Colorado has also had bumps during the season as well, but they just smoked them 8-2. So they're hungry for some wins, I think.
Yeah, Tampa smoked them 8-2.
Yeah.
Tampa's 11-7-2, so sort of close to our record. Not
The
there
Atlantic
yet.
Division, the 4 teams are very still in it, and then you have surprise like Buffalo, who's right there as well.
Yeah.
It's all close. That's why this game means so much, is because you have a chance to beat a divisional opponent 2 games in a row, Tampa and Florida,
Yeah.
or Florida and Tampa, whatever, and extend your lead.
Yeah.
And bring them down. Because it's like, oh yeah, well, if we lose to Florida, we're still going to be in first because we have the game in hand.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like, well, actually, that's fine, but beat them.
Yeah. No, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I also
So-
don't know if I want Matthews playing the game, just because I know the type of team that Florida is, and they're very similar to our play. And obviously Matthews, I saw in a press conference, he said not that he's going to be back by Wednesday, but that he wanted to be back by Wednesday.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference in, I'm very okay to play Wednesday to, I want to be back and play on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I would honestly sit him till the Lightning game just because it's a lesser opponent in a sense. But I don't know. I guess maybe Berube wants to. I guess maybe Matthews is fine, right? He's okay to play.
I'm just hoping it was an injury where it's like the time that he already had off was kind of healing and we were just saving him.
Yeah.
It's like what we kind of did with Hakanpää. At least the rumor said that, he actually could have played like 2 weeks before he actually started playing. It's just they didn't need to rush him back, right?
Yeah.
Same with Matthews. Hopefully it's a situation like that. It's like, this is the biggest game of the season.
Yeah.
You're gonna want your captain playing this game.
Yeah,
Hopefully he plays well.
that's the only reason why I would see him back in the lineup.
Yeah.
You're trying to take advantage of a not so great Florida team currently. And a
Exactly.
very bad run of form.
Yep.
Right? So that's the only reason why I think he should be back, or else I would have sat him till the thing. But let's hope everything's okay. Let's hope we obviously get the win.
Yeah.
If there's nothing else you want to
Score
say.
predictions?
Score predictions?
What are score predictions?
Oh.
You know what? I'm hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm gonna say 3-2 Florida.
Why was that the exact score I had in my head? I was literally picturing a score.
3-2 Florida.
I was picturing Florida scoring 2, us scoring 1, Florida scoring 1, us scoring 1, and then capitulating.
I think we can agree on that then.
Yeah.
And then you want to do the next games too? I don't know. Do we play another game after Tampa, or we might?
No,
play
we
the
play
Tuesday?
the Wednesday after.
I think Tampa
so
we
ridiculous.
do get the win though.
Yeah.
Tampa we do get the win. Gonna call like maybe I'll say 4-1.
Yeah,
4-1
I was
win.
thinking a 5-2, so
5-2.
very, very similar score lines. But if you have nothing else to talk about, then that's the end of the podcast. Thank you guys for watching and coming back to episode 10
Thank you.
of the Leave the Lights On podcast. Oh my gosh, we didn't even say our names in the beginning.
Oh, it's all right. Well, I'm
Nicholas
Luca Tersini.
Principe and Luca Tersini. Thank you guys for watching episode 10. I don't know how I just caught that right now.
It's all right.
But
They know who we are for now.
We
From
hope
now
so.
on,
If you're coming back every week, you know who we are.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching episode 10. Let's hope we get the win tomorrow night, and we'll see you guys next time.
For sure.
Take it easy.
We wanted to get into the podcast so
Yeah,
much.
we had so much that we wanted to talk about. But
Anyway.
thank you guys for coming. See you guys later.
Ciao.